Hey guys, good morning. It's Michelle here. I hope you're doing well. I'm inside again. You see, the thing is, I've been going out super early this week, and I know so many of you worry about me going out super early in the dark, so I just don't tell you when I do it. I feel like a teenager again, when I used to go out in the dark and not tell my mother. What I'm going to do in this video is conclude this. It's become like a little mini-series, Dismantling the Script. I originally thought I'm just going to do one video responding to Chris McDonough's response to his own video that he did when he visited Candus at Summerwell's home. And it's turned into 3 parts because I've got a lot to say. But in this video, I'm just going to show you a little bit more of Chris's footage and comment on that. And then I want us at the end to conclude this little mini-series to think about the why, the when, the who and the how. Because those are the things, you know, if we want to really understand how, why, when, all of that, you know, in relation to Summer's disappearance, we've got to do it systematically and we've got to do it logically. And I find myself becoming increasingly frustrated with people who don't look at the bigger picture. They hone in on one specific thing and they stick to it. And they don't think about all the other possibilities. They don't try to refute their hypothesis. They just try to support it with a very narrow set of evidence. And I don't do that. I look at the bigger picture. And I lose friends over it. I lose subscribers over it. But look, guys, you know, we all want subscribers. If you're on YouTube, you got a YouTube channel, you're lying if you say you don't want subscribers. You're lying if you say you don't want views. What's the point of doing anything on social media if people aren't going to watch it? So I know I lose people, but I'm speaking my truth. I'm speaking what I truly believe, and I'm investigating all angles. That's why I watch a wide range of creators. I'm just going to watch a few minutes of this footage. And yeah, my camera's working today. It was a setting. All I had to do was turn the whole computer off and on again, and it worked. So I don't have to go via StreamYard. So it's a little bit easier for me to navigate my screens this morning. A little less editing behind the scenes. Okay, so we're starting off where Chris has gone into the house. He's followed Candus into the house, and now he's going to take her back out because he wants her to tell the story in reverse. We're going to see the hat again. I apologise about this weird, very weird shadow. I don't know. Whatever. You're not watching me anyway. You're watching Chris. Right, let's go.
To adapt and improvise back to the street smart kind of game, okay, and potentially some manipulation, okay, rather rapidly, pretty rapidly. So I'm not buying you're going to guess my weight yet.
Walk me through that.
All right, well, we walked up in here, we got Josie, Wyatt, and Waylon, the boys.
Okay, so I now reversed her into the story. See if she can tell me the story backwards, i.e., you know, I'm taking you back out of the house.
Right.
Well,
you put the groceries down, right?
Yeah, well, we went back out and then we brought the groceries in and put them down.
Now, what was interesting there is she used the word we. So that, right? That could be Summer.
And then Mom,
Or it could be the boys.
she went and took her stuff to her house, put her stuff away.
Okay.
And then, of course, me and Summer went back over, put our stuff away.
Okay.
So they get the groceries, go to Grandma's, put her stuff away, then they go back and put their groceries away, right? Well, what did the boys grab? What did the boys grab? Okay.
Well, just a word on the groceries, and a lot of people talk about it because there's a discrepancy in the story, and I don't know how relevant or how important it is. In my assessment of when things started to go awry was a lot after them coming back from the swimming hole, going to Walgreens to get the prescription, going to Priceless to get the groceries. I don't think any of that's relevant. I think things only start becoming relevant when we get back to the house, because I think that's when things started to go wrong. I'm not of the belief that anything happened at the swimming hole or at Hunter's or anywhere else. I think that all of that stuff gives us it gives us a timeline of the day, which is important, and it has to be worked through. And believe you me, I've worked through it all. I've gone through everything. If you go back on my Summerwell's playlist, where I've got an extensive amount of videos, I mean loads of videos on just about every topic you can imagine in relation to the Summerwell's case. You know, I've been in this since almost day one, so I've gone through everything. This is why I've reached the conclusion now, 7 months later, that the swimming hole isn't important, the groceries are not important, that Walgreens isn't important. What is important is when they get back to the house. In my opinion, this is all just my opinion, things start to go awry at the house. So what that means is, what groceries they bought is pretty much irrelevant, except there's a discrepancy, which is worth just mentioning, that Candus said they were only 5 minutes in Priceless, and Hunter and Summer stayed in the car, the grandma's truck, and then Hunter says that they were an hour. But both of them are not very good with time. So is it somewhere in between that? I can't believe it's 5 minutes. I mean, yeah, if you literally just went in and got a couple of jugs of milk, maybe, if there's no queue, but not an hour. You know, you'd have to do a full shop, and I don't believe they did that. And I don't think there's time in the time. I mean, maybe there is, because I believe it's Chris who said this, that they got the prescription from Walgreens around 1:30, and then they arrived back at Hunter's between 2 and 2:30. So they could have been quite a while in the grocery store. Let's say they were 10 minutes in the queue at Walgreens. I'm making numbers up, but I'm just giving you an example. Say they were 10 minutes at Walgreens getting the prescription. Say they were half an hour in Priceless. That would make sense in relation to getting back to Hunter's for around 2:30. But if they were only in Priceless for 5 minutes, then it would have been closer to 2. So there is a discrepancy. Like I said, it's not important to me and my theory, but I might not be right. So we've got to look at everything we do, and I have looked at everything, believe you me. Now, Hunter says in his interview that they put some of the groceries in the bed of the truck, and then he was holding on to the milk, which leads me to believe it's more than just those milks and some cheese, that there's a few more items than that. I mean, I don't want a complete breakdown of everything they bought. Maybe the TBI will have that. Maybe they'll have a receipt of what they bought. But anyway, there is that discrepancy. So yeah, looking at the groceries, it's worth a thought, but let's move on. So maybe the boys helped. Maybe Summer took some things in. I believe this. I believe that they took the groceries in. I believe that they took Grandma's groceries over. It's a little bit later, as I talked about yesterday in part 2, that things start to go wrong.
Went back in.
Yeah, me and Summer went back in the house.
There's the hat. See the hat? Every time she's not sure, in my opinion, that hat becomes important to watch.
And we talked about this yesterday. If you haven't seen yesterday's video, you might not have had a notification for it, because YouTube, in its wisdom, put it on limited monetization, which means that I don't get paid for it. I only get paid a tiny amount for that video, but so do YouTube, because it's not suitable for most advertisers. So they don't publicize it. They don't put it in people's suggested bars. It basically dies. It kills the video. I have appealed, but it takes days. Anyway, if you didn't see that video, I'll link it in the cards somewhere there. So yeah, we talked about the hat yesterday, and I said, is it when she's nervous? Is it some kind of unconscious thing? It's a learned behaviour, but it's unconscious when she's nervous. Does she fiddle around with things when she's lying, as a lot of people do? I think it's more anxiety. It's not necessarily that she's lying. We can't say that for sure. But I think this is where the story starts to go wrong. So I can understand why she's going to start getting increasingly nervous. Once they've put the groceries away, I think the rest of that story then becomes sketchy. And it turns into an out-and-out lie, in my opinion.
And then we were just doing normal stuff.
See, she's thinking. She's thinking. She doesn't know what to say because she's running out of, maybe this guy's not buying our narrative, my narrative.
And I don't think the TBI bought it, because do you remember, it's quite a while ago now, and I could not remember what video it would have been. I'm sure it was when Don was talking to Cher and Mr. Cher. Almost every night Don was on their channel in the early days. And he said that the TBI had told them to go away and think about what they did, because the TBI were aware that there was missing time. Because they got home, we know the photograph, that final photograph of Summer on the milk jugs, asleep on the milk jugs, was taken at 3:09. We know this because Candus sent the video, the little video, 3 seconds long, that Grandma took by mistake, and the photo that followed it. She sent them to the channel unmasked. So the timestamp's on there as when that was taken, and it was 3:09 on the 15th of June. We know Summer was alive and well with them on the 15th of June, and there's several lines of inquiry as to how we can put that together. This is where the story, in my opinion, starts to go wrong. And the TBI have questioned them, and Dawn said that she had to really think what she did. And I kind of get that you might not fully remember every single thing you did in the order you did it and how long it took. You might remember what you did, but you're not going to remember the exact timestamps of everything. I get that. I understand that. But she's so vague. And there's a 3-hour period to fill, because if that final photograph was taken at 3:09, 8 minutes away from home, we know where that photo was taken. I've got videos on it. Check them out. We say that took 10 minutes. If there was, I don't know, they were behind a tractor or something. They definitely have going to got home before 3:30. I'd say put it at around 3:20. Between 3:20 and 3:30. That's when they got home. Now, it's interesting, and maybe I'll talk about this tomorrow, that neighbour Fred Hill, who I believe is a liar, but we'll talk about him tomorrow, when he spoke to Ziggy recently, he said he saw Jodie Sue's ex, who was then her partner, Andy, on Ben Hill Road around 3:30, so around the time they got home. It relates to all the who's, who was there, was he there? I don't believe so, because apparently he's on camera at work all day, but we've got to talk about everybody, right? And this is what I'm going to start doing in videos. We've got to talk about everybody. So they got home, took, 2 minutes to put those groceries away. 10 minutes if they got like a few bags and they had to separate them out. It's 10 minutes. That take us, let's take us to 3:45. Right, let's give her all the benefit of the doubt. Let's take it to 3:45. We've still got until 6:26, when that 911 call was made, to fill. We don't know at what time Summer disappeared. Jodie Sue, the then neighbour, tells us that it was around 6:09 when she heard, Candus and the boys shouting for Summer.
Leave on the phone at 6:09. I'm going around the top curve right away to start the descent down.
And then she saw Candus coming down the hill. The dispatch call says that Summer was only missing 10 minutes.
You're being around 110, 110 Ben Hill Road off of Beach Creek. Should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk. Came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Yeah, they've looked for her in the house. Maybe they've looked for her down the creek. Then they started to panic a bit and look for her and shout for her. And that's when Jodie Sue heard them. Right, so we've got from 3:45 till about 6 o'clock to fill. And we've got nothing. We've got nothing from Candus. So when she says she did normal stuff and she can't explain what she did, that is a big problem, and it was a big problem for the TBI, and that's where the story about the laundry came from, that she did laundry. Now, unless she takes it all down to the Flaming Creek and washes it by hand, that's nonsense. She has got a washing machine. She has got a dryer. If she put washing in, what does that take? 2 minutes. Putting washing in, and then you just wait for it to finish, and then you take it out, and then you maybe put it in the dryer. It really doesn't take long, and you've got all of that time to wait while the washer and the dryer are doing their things. So I don't think that fills in the time. So Candy's saying that they just did normal stuff is a problem. Chris is right, and the TBI were right to want to know more.
So she's pausing, right? This is one of these situations where, you know, we see it in the interview room with, this is consciousness of guilt. Right? It's a sign of deception that when, you know, I've said this many times where, you know, you get these guys, you know, they come in for an interview and they know they're going home, but they bring their friend. This would be one of the moments where she would have had somebody in the lobby, and I'll just, you know, just say whoever, right? The guy's sitting in the lobby, and this would be the moment where Candus would go, you know, I don't, just like normal stuff, right? Things we always do, okay? But in this case, we're talking about her daughter gone, okay? Her daughter gone. So this emotional response here isn't even as heavy as it was at the waterhole. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to watch this really close here. And I'm moving her emotionally. And I threw a couple of curveballs at her, a couple of knuckleballs. This was a knuckle. Now, what she's doing with her hands wide open is she's convincing me that, well, I don't know, we just do this.
I think that's a fair enough assessment, that she went, I don't know, we do normal stuff. You know, it's almost like, in my opinion, that's like a dismissive, like, I don't know, we just do normal stuff. You know, and you throw your hands in the air. And you just expect people to then believe that's just, we just do normal stuff, that kind of thing. And you're dismissing it. You're lessening its impact. And why would she do that when this is the exact time when she last saw Summer? Chris said she had more of an emotional response at the swimming hole, and someone in my comments said something that I think is right. I think you're right, whoever you are. I can't remember who you are, sorry. That's the last time she saw Summer happy. So that's what gives her that emotional response. That's the last happy memory she's got of Summer. Which makes sense, because everything else they've done in that day after that has either been mundane or a lie. So the mundane is getting the groceries, putting the groceries away. And then the lie comes here, when she starts saying, I don't know, we did normal stuff. I believe she fell asleep. I believe she doesn't have a recollection of what happened in those, could be an hour, could be up to 2 hours. I've talked about this in previous videos when I've done the timeline of all this, and I've put all the evidence in of what we've got, what little we've got about the evidence of this. You know, is the scream relevant that Jodie Sue heard between 4:30 and 4:42? We don't know. But Candice doesn't know either, because she lied when she said that she was in the house looking for Summer when the scream happened.
And that's her little swing right there off that tree. She loved to play right there in that yard. That was her favorite spot to be. So whoever took her had to actually come up into the yard and take her. And I don't understand, because, like, my neighbor heard her scream, but I didn't hear her scream because I was in the house with the boys trying to find her. And I guess when my neighbor heard her scream, I was actually in the house and the TV was going, so I didn't even hear the scream.
She lied after coaching from her friends when she said she was down there at the driveway between 4:30 and 5, and that's when she saw Jodie Sue.
We were waiting for Andy to get there. That's what she told me.
And what time was that?
Oh gosh,
Around the
I'm not even sure,
hour?
Benny, right now.
Okay.
Around 4:30, yeah, about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
although Geordie Sue said it was closer to 6 or 9. I believe Geordie Sue's timeline more than Candus's because it fits. It fits with that dispatch call. It fits with what we know from, officially. So that is a big issue. That she throws up her hands. She's fiddled with her hat. She's got nervous. She's thrown up her hands and said, we just did normal stuff. Maybe you did. Maybe you're not lying. Maybe you did normal stuff. But your normal stuff was going in the house, having a smoke, thinking about having a drink at 5 o'clock, and you zone out. Maybe that's your normal stuff, Candus. And you're not lying when you said, we did normal stuff. Because that is the norm. That is the norm. You go in, you chill out, have a sleep, don't take any notice, go on your phone, get high, whatever, right? But you can't account for that time, and you can't account for where your children were at that time. And that's why Geordie Sue heard one of the boys saying it's not my fault. Because it isn't their fault. Those little boys were 12, 11 and 9 at the time Summer disappeared. It's not their fault. They shouldn't be babysitters for each other or for their little sister. There's 2 adults on this property at this time. 3 if we believe Don wasn't at work. But I do believe he was at work. Even if he wasn't at work in the morning, and again we'll discuss this in videos coming up, because there's something else Fred Hill said. I believe it was 2 adults at this time, Candus and Grandma. They were both there on the property. The babysitter should not have been 3 little boys. So when one of them said, it's not my fault, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. And if those little boys ever grow up and watch all of these videos, I hope they know it was not their fault. Whatever happened was not their fault. They weren't being supervised. Simple as that. So, as I said, what I'm going to do here just to summarise this whole series now is to say, right, why? Why, when, who, and how? Those are the 4 questions that we need to answer. Why, in my opinion, is the most important. Why did Summer disappear? Was it because she just wasn't being supervised? She wandered a little way off and she got into an accident? Or she wandered a little way off and got abducted? Or she went a little way off and something else happened? And for me, it's either something untoward happened, like an accident, which I don't favour for a number of reasons that I've talked about in previous videos, or she came upon, unfortunately, as some children do, an abductor. And I believe that this is an abductor that knows the Wells, who is local to the area or visits locals in that area. And if that's the case, well, the why, the motive, from Summer's point of view, is going playing, but the motive from the perpetrator's point of view is, well, I think we can guess. I don't need to spell it out. So then we think when. Well, the when for me is the easiest to answer. The when is after this. The when is after they've put the groceries away, and Candus then throws her hands up and says, we did normal stuff. The normal stuff is she's inattentive and the kids go to play. And she doesn't know what they're doing. All right, that's her norm. So the when could be between, let's say 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock. We've got a 2-hour window that we cannot fill. What happened in those 2 hours? So then we've got to think about the who and the how, which kind of go together. Because if it was a who, if it was a human who took her, known to the Wells, and the how, I think, is the least of our worries. The how is relatively simple if we consider, if we believe what has been said about the scent alerts that the dogs have given. So the search dogs alerted on the property. Now, I'm not enamoured by this dog trail scent, because Summer was on that property all over. I don't believe Don when he says she went down the dog trail. I think she may have been up and down those trails in that 2-hour window, but it was because she was playing. Maybe she was following the boys on the dirt bikes up and down those trails, up and down the drive, whatever she was. And I believe that they went towards the road area down where the tree cutters have got like an area that was free. That was, you know, it wasn't woodland, it was more open. Here is really open. Let's zoom in a bit. That's where tree cutters cut, and that's permanently kept clear. And the shed's here, that little shed, and this all is still the Wells property here. If they went to play there, and that's why Candus sent the boys down to the creek to look for him. It's why Don went to the creek when he got home, because that they know that's where Summer and the boys go to play. This is my opinion. And Geordie Sue was here, around here, in her cabin. So she's the closest to the Wells. And then we've got a scent alert down here, further down Ben Hill Road at the creek. And then we've got 2 scent alerts here where footprints were found. So just to be clear, right, there was a small number of child's bare footprints. Here, this is high up on a ridge. You can't see it from this screenshot, but high up on a ridge. And then one closer to the road. These are not absolutes. These are not absolutes. These are just, I've just put the pins on the property markers because we don't know exactly where the footprints were, but they were around in these areas. We can be reasonably sure, at least, that these were Summer's footprints because they were found by a dog, and this was after searchers had already been through once. There was loads of adult footprints. That's why there was no adult footprints that can be identified, because there was loads of them, because searchers had already been through before a search dog hit on these footprints. Now, I don't know whether they hit here first or here first. It doesn't matter. But it's 2 different neighbours' properties. That these have 2 different addresses. As I said, this one is high up on a ridge. Bare footprints of a child's print. We've got to take this seriously. If you've been watching Crime Stories Sunday over on my other channel, Michelle Walks, you'll know that last week, not Sunday just gone, but Sunday before, I did the story of Dennis Martin. And it was a little 6-year-old boy who disappeared in the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee in 1969. And they found footprints. They found one shoed print and one bare print. Child's footprints. And they ignored them. They dismissed them as, oh, it's one of the Boy Scout searchers. And then a few days later, they found a shoe and a sock. They could have been so close to Dennis at that point, but they dismissed it. So what I don't want us to do in this situation, in Summer's situation, is to dismiss these, because these are not been confirmed by law enforcement, but we know they happen. We've got a neighbour who came out and spoke about them in the early days, but just got horrendously abused and took his post down. But fortunately, people had already screenshotted them. There's no reason why a neighbour down on Beach Creek Road would lie. No reason. So we know that a live scent dog specifically looking for Summer's scent alerted at these child footprints, bare footprints. We know that Summer was most probably barefooted. Coincidences happen, but I don't think this is a coincidence. We don't know the direction of travel. We don't know if she went down here. We don't know if she went down here, or this way, kind of down from the creek along here, playing with her brother. We don't know. We don't know what happened. But in December, the searchers came back and went round and round and round and round this area. We can ascertain a why. We can ascertain a when within limits. We can ascertain a where within limits. It's the who and the how that are the most tricky. We don't have enough information, but we can hypothesize, and that's what I do in videos. And I think in tomorrow's video we're going to look at who and how. It'll all be speculation because we just don't know, but we can start to formulate. We can start to hypothesize. So I'm going to leave it there. Until tomorrow, guys. See you later. Bye, guys.